Welcome to rSlash, Am I the Butthole, where OP leaves his own child with an abuser. Am I the butthole for taking my child to her mom's home and leaving her there? I'm a 40-year-old guy and I have full custody of my daughter, who's 12. Her mom only has once-a-month visitations. Recently, my daughter has been acting up and insisting on living with her mom because she thinks that I'm a bad dad. I knew that she couldn't live with her mom because her mom is a terrible mom. I know it because I've seen the way that she treats her other kids, which is why I tried so hard to get full custody. Also, my daughter is used to her very privileged life, which her mom can't give her. A few days ago, we got into an argument, and again, she said that she hated me and wanted to live with her mom. I got angry, made her pack a bag, took her to her mom's house, left her there, and told her that she's gonna live here just as she wanted. One day later, I got a message from her asking me to take her home. I ignored all of her messages and calls for 4 days until I figured that she had learned her lesson. I answered her call and she was crying, asking me to take her home, which I did. She's been staying in her room ever since. My family thinks that I'm a huge butthole and I should have just brought her home the first time she called, but I thought that this was necessary. Am I the butthole? Golly, OP, you sure did teach that 12-year-old girl a lesson by subjecting her to abuse. Yeah, that'll teach her who's boss. OP, you didn't even know if your daughter was safe. She was calling you time after time after time and you wouldn't answer, so who knows what was happening to her? Maybe her mom was hitting her? Like, who knows? I agree with the 12-year-old OP. You are a bad dad. I'm giving you 4 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your daughter 0 out of 5 buttholes. Of course she's gonna argue with you. She's a 12-year-old girl. The way to discipline a 12-year-old girl is to sit her down and talk to her, or like ground her to her room, take away her phone, not subject her to abuse at the hands of an abusive parent. Come on, OP. Am I the butthole for telling my husband that I won't be cooking for him anymore because of the comment that he made? My husband doesn't know how to cook. He's also not a fan of the food that I cook from my country of origin. Seeing him living off fast food motivated me to learn to cook his family's most common meals. It took me a while to get it done properly, but now I can cook an entire list of his favorite meals. He praises my cooking and encourages me to learn more. While we were eating dinner at his parents' house, I had to excuse myself to go wash my hands after I was done. I left the table and my husband was still eating. As I was making my way back, I heard my dad tell him to take it easy because he was eating a lot. He then asked my husband if I cook for him and if he eats well at home. My husband said that I do cook for him, but the food that I make can only be fed to pigs, not humans. I was hurt and so offended. I showed up in front of him and told him that I will no longer be cooking for him after that comment. He was turning in his seat as I walked right past him, grabbed my purse, and headed home. He got back later saying that it wasn't like that, and even if it was, then I should be happy that he still eats my food when it's still not perfect yet. He said that he was trying to protect my feelings, and I hurt him when I said that I won't cook anymore. OP, I don't understand the problem at all. If he thinks that your food is inedible, then he should be happy that he doesn't have to eat it anymore, right? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your husband gets 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my dad the real reason why I don't want to go on vacation with him and his family and potentially ruining his marriage? I'm a 17-year-old guy. When I was around 9, my dad, who's 39, started seeing a friend of my mom's and cheated on my mom. They married, and they now have 3 kids together. My dad asked for custody, and he was granted to have me on the weekends. He seemed happy to have me and always tried to include me in everything, but it was kind of weird and frustrating. He even tried to make me call his wife Mom, and he went after full custody several times. Since being with his wife and making me accept his new family was more important than spending actual time with me alone, I stopped going to his house when I was 14. He tried to fight for full custody after my mom started dating my stepdad, who's a nice guy, but I told him to stop. The other reason why I stopped visiting him, which I never told my dad about, is because his wife was so hostile towards me. My dad used to pay attention to me when I was there, and I think she didn't like that. So one day she told me behind my dad's back that I was an obstacle to my dad's happiness and I should just stay with my mom full time. Their anniversary was 5 days ago, and I didn't want to go, but he called my mom to threaten that if I didn't go, he would take us to court. He took his 4 kids, including me, his wife, his parents, and his parents-in-law to celebrate at a nice restaurant. Once there, he said that he had 6 tickets for vacation. I didn't say anything, but then he looked at me and said that one is for me, and I said, "Thanks, but I'm not going." He seemed angry and said, "Okay, I've had enough. Why don't you want to go?" I said, "Just because," but then he asked me the same question like 5 more times, so on the 6th time I said, "Because I hate your wife." Then he started asking me why over and over again, so I ended up telling him the mean things that she said to me. He seemed uncomfortable, but told us to finish our meal, and no one talked for the rest of the night, and after we finished, I asked my stepdad to pick me up. I haven't spoken to my dad since. He just sent me a message asking me if I changed my mind about the trip, but I said no. My cousin told me that my dad is staying at my grandparents' house now. His wife texted me yesterday calling me a brat and asking if I was happy for potentially destroying my half-sibling's home life, but I just ignored her. My cousin says that my kids are hurt and crying because my dad isn't at home, and she says that I should have just said other things or agree and then tell him later that I wasn't going. Oh my fucking God, OP. This woman cheats with your dad and destroys your home life, but when you expose to her husband that she's a toxic woman, suddenly it's a big deal that you're destroying her kid's home life? What an absolute hypocrite. I can do a mean thing to you, but the second you do that exact same thing to me, suddenly it's a big deal. Suddenly it's unforgivable. Nah, it doesn't work that way. She gets 5 out of 5 buttholes. Your dad also gets 5 out of 5 buttholes. Partially for cheating on your mom, but also, I'm gonna be honest, I completely don't believe that he's unaware that his wife hates you. OP, you and your mom get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Don't let her get to you, OP. If anything, she destroyed her marriage, not you. Am I the butthole for not waking my husband up for his 5 a.m. walk? So for the past month, my husband, who's 39, has been waking up at 5 a.m. every night to have a walk. These walks would take about 2 hours. I should mention this is a new habit. He's not trying to lose weight. He's pretty thin. He's not athletic by nature, nor does he have any sports interests or hobbies. In fact, he hates doing any type of sports. I'm happy for him since overall it's a positive thing, but yesterday he came home in the evening after working for long hours, then stayed up late playing with his phone. I went to bed at 10. I woke up to him yelling at me at 7 a.m., asking me why I didn't wake him up for his 5 a.m. walk. He said that he missed it and I'm responsible for that. I was so confused and said, first of all, he always wakes up by setting his alarm. Why should I be expected to wake him up this time? He yelled that he forgot to set his alarm. I said, so what? It's no big deal. It's not like he missed an important meeting or something, but he got more angry. And he said those walks help improve his health, restore his energy, and help him feel better. I made a comment about how missing one walk won't hurt, but he unloaded on me, yelling about how I was trying to prevent him from doing his hobby for some unknown reason. I told him he was sorely mistaken, even though I admit those daily 5 a.m. walks around the Veterans Park are weird, but also his reaction is really over the top. He stormed off and went to go shower, saying that I ruined his entire day. When he got out, he avoided and ignored me, even when I talked to him directly. He went to work and refused to respond to my calls. Really? I'm at a loss. Like, maybe it was something I said about his walks, but I really don't know. He's sulking nonstop, and I'm literally about to lose my mind. Am I the butthole? So you were supposed to magically know that he didn't set an alarm and then take on the responsibility? Okay. You know what? I don't even care. I don't want to talk about how this guy's hypocritical and selfish. What I really want to know about is why is this guy so pressed that he missed his 5 a.m. walk? If I were you, OP, tomorrow when it's 5 a.m., I would wake up a little bit after him, follow him, and figure out what's really going on in those 5 a.m. walks. I mean, hey, maybe the guy's really just walking around for 2 hours, but a 2-hour walk is a pretty long walk. Are you sure that he's not, I don't know, walking over to a neighbor's house? Are you sure he's not, walking over to his dealer? Something's fishy here, OP. In any event, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your husband's weird behavior 2 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for still going to my dental appointment after my husband tried to get me to reschedule? I'm a 34-year-old woman, and I was having a horrible toothache. I had taken medication to ease the pain, but it was bad. Like, you need to go to the dentist level of bad. I scheduled an appointment and was told to come yesterday. My husband's best friend, Terry, got into an accident and had injured his knee. He had been staying with us for several weeks. My husband looks after him since Terry lives alone and needs assistance. I welcomed him into our home, but I found myself cleaning up after him, bringing him his medication, and also cooking for him. And if I take too long to get something done, he'd call my husband and basically tell on me, which makes my husband mad at me. My husband says that it's temporary, and also since I'm home 24/7 and he's working, then I should help care for his friend. It's become quite overwhelming because now I can't leave the house if my husband isn't there with his friend. Like I stated previously about the dental appointment, I told my husband the night before and he pitched a hissy fit saying that I can't leave Terry home alone. I suggested that he take time off work and stay with him, but he said that it wouldn't work with such short notice. He suggested that I reschedule, but I said no, even showing him how bad the swelling was. But he still told me to hold on for another day. He went to work early, and I decided that I was still going to go. Terry was in the living room and saw me making my way out as my mom was waiting at the door. He asked me where I was going, and I told him to a dental appointment. He had an attitude and raised his voice at me, telling me to go back upstairs and cancel. My mom stepped in and started arguing with him, asking, "Who does he think he is?" He went on about how he was unable to move and then threatened to call my husband if I stepped a foot out the door. I took my mom and left. He ended up calling my husband, who then tried to call me over and over for 2 hours until I turned my phone off. Instead of returning home, I went to stay with my mom because I was in tremendous pain. And my husband started yelling at me, calling me stubborn for still going after he told me to reschedule and irresponsible for leaving his injured friend home alone. My mom told him off, which escalated the argument between us. He's now currently staying at home along with his friend while constantly pressuring me to stop hiding behind my mom and come deal with the results of having him leave his job for hours after I blindsided him and went against his wishes. Alright, hold up. Your husband's friend got a knee injury. This isn't like a heart transplant. It's not like he's paralyzed from the neck down. He's got a knee injury. And, I don't want to belittle the injury because if it's bad, but like... this isn't a life-threatening injury. The guy can have a crutch and limp his way to the bathroom if he needs to. He doesn't need you to wait on him hand and foot like that, right? And the fact that your husband is putting his friend's health above your own health is a major red flag, especially if he can physically see the swelling from your swollen jaw. That's awful. I can't believe the audacity of this guy saying that you're not allowed to leave your own home. Excuse me? I'm with your mom, man. Who the hell does this guy think he is? I'm giving your husband and his friend 3 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving you and your mom 0 out of 5 buttholes. If anything, your mom is awesome here because she actually has your back. Am I the butthole for being livid at my now husband? I'm a 33-year-old woman, and I got married to my 30-year-old husband last week. I'd been super chill throughout the whole wedding planning and during the actual event, because I know that stuff happens, and if anything goes wrong or not exactly how we wanted, it's not that big of a deal, and it may even make the wedding more memorable for the guests. The one thing that I told my husband that I didn't want to happen was I didn't want him smashing cake in my face. I had a suspicion that he would find it funny to do it, so during the planning, I flat out told him not to do it. I don't think that it's funny. I don't want to mess up my makeup that took hours to apply, and I don't want cake on my expensive wedding dress. I told him I would be livid if he did it, and he promised that he wouldn't. Well, come the cake cutting time, what did he do? He smashed the cake in my face. I got it on my dress and messed up my makeup, just like I knew that it would. I'm pretty sure that his friends convinced him to do it, not that that makes it any better. I kept it together, went and cleaned myself up, and put on a smile for the rest of the reception, but afterwards, I let loose on him. I yelled at him that this was the one thing that I asked him not to do, and he promised that he wouldn't. He told me that I was being dramatic, that it's not a big deal, and we should just be enjoying our time as newlyweds. So, was I being overly dramatic? Am I the butthole? OP, the story, the dress up here is really, really irrelevant. This can be boiled down to something very, very simple. Reddit, I set a very clear boundary for my husband. My husband promised that he would respect that boundary, and then, the first chance he got, he violated that boundary. Am I the butthole? No! No, of course you're not. How could you be? I gotta say, good luck with your marriage, OP, cause it sounds like you married a douchebag. That was rSlash, Am I the Butthole? And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.